Matt Reeves' The Batman is a film that I have liked very well. I mean, I enjoyed the story, the characters, even the whole aspect of who Batman really is. If you're a fan of Batman, you're going to enjoy this film. It's just that there are some things that I thought could have been done better in this movie. Man, I have to say, after a few years of this film going to many rewrites and different directions, this film, well, let's say it met my expectations. When I first heard Robert Pattinson was cast as Batman, I was a little skeptical because I didn't think he'll give a awesome performance, but this film made me eat my own words. So this movie is basically Batman uncovering corruption in Gotham City, as well as pursuing the Riddler, who is a serial killer who targets Gotham's elite. This film, it was real interesting. I really liked this film for a number of reasons. The characters were awesome. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, she was a very interesting character. I will say that Selena Kyle's backstory is very interesting, and without any spoilers, it certainly takes a different route. And seeing Jeffrey White as James Gordon, when has he ever been in a bad film? He did an awesome job in the role that he had in this movie. And then you have actors such as Paul Dano playing the Riddler. I actually liked his version of the Riddler. And then when you see Colin Farrell playing the Penguin, he really made that role his own, considering how the Penguin was portrayed the last time in a Batman movie. But I certainly like the story in this film because we see Gotham City, we see the corruption, we see all the crime going down. And then Batman, who is just one man, has to deal with all this. One thing I wanted to say, why is Robert Pattinson, why is he so brilliant as Bruce Wayne? If I knew Batman personally in this film, I probably would have said, "You're Batman." Seriously, because between the three aspects of Bruce Wayne, you have Batman, you have Bruce Wayne with Alfred, and then you have Bruce Wayne in public. There is no differential between those three sides. Because Robert Pattinson, he's all brilliant whether he's in the mask or not. It just makes me wish he gave a better performance as Bruce Wayne. Like Bruce Wayne in this film doesn't really have a personality like we've seen in past Batman movies. And not just that though, but I think he's a good Batman, but as far as Bruce Wayne is concerned, he was not that good at all. And well, I have to say another disappointment I have to point out is the fight scenes. This guy, he does fight all brutal and stuff, but I mean, I wanted Batman in this film to fight like a ninja, just like he does in those Batman Arkham games. And to see the standard brawling, like, as an audience, we have seen that before. We wanted to see Batman, or at least in my opinion, wanted to see him fight a little bit better. Despite some issues I did have with this film, I still enjoyed it for what it was. It was a good film in my opinion. And not just that, the soundtrack to this film is just simply amazing. Like, I can literally listen to this soundtrack all day. That's how good it is. This film also has some great visuals, and I really enjoyed them all throughout this movie. And that Batmobile scene is probably one of my favorite parts in this film. This is a highly respected movie, and I would recommend you check this film out, especially if you like Batman movies. You won't be disappointed with this one. Andy Serkis, who plays Alfred, he's not in this film much, so we don't see a whole lot of interactions between Bruce Wayne and Alfred. That's one of the key exponents of Batman's character, his relationship with Alfred, which is done much better in past Batman films. And not just that, this movie's nearly 3 hours long. And I was asking myself, if they would have shaved off 25 minutes, then it still probably would have got the story across. I mean, this is the longest Batman film to date. And not just that though, but there is other things about this film which I actually did like. Like I mentioned before, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman was awesome. Seeing the Penguin and the Riddler, they were interesting villains. And then we had Jeffrey White, who had no bullshit when he was playing Lieutenant James Gordon, basically. And his interactions with Batman was some of my favorite parts of this film. In fact, majority of this movie, Robert Pattinson, he's Batman. He's Batman for like 95% of this movie. Most of this film takes place at night. It has the dark and gritty tone that Gotham City is known for. This is probably the most interesting Gotham City I've seen in a Batman film. And not just that though, but John Turturro as Falcone, I just couldn't see him as Falcone. I mean, his mannerisms is not what I had expected. It was an odd casting choice to say the least. Nonetheless, the outweigh of this whole thing, the whole outlook of this film, I should say, is more positive than it is negative. I enjoyed this film. It's great. I had entertaining time with this movie, and I can't wait to see more of Gotham City in the sequel, whenever that might happen. Nonetheless, though, I highly recommend you check this film out because I believe it is well worth your time. I'm giving this film a 8 out of 10. I want to see more of this universe. I want to see more of Gotham City to see how rundown and corrupted this movie really is all throughout. Made me realize that that's something that wasn't largely explored in past Batman films. Then there is more you could capitalize on with this universe, especially how Gotham City is so corrupted. And not just that though, but this film finally uses the world's greatest detective as we see Batman solving a lot of things that goes on in this movie without spoiling anything. It's certainly more than we saw in past Batman movies, that's for sure. And to finally see that in this film, the detective work of Batman, it was finally great to really see it just because of how past movies had largely ignored, and that's one of the key traits of the character of Batman. And speaking of which, I know that Batman is only in his second year in this film. It's just, I'm guessing they're going to make this version of Batman even better in the future films. It's just only time will tell how this whole trilogy turns out. Nonetheless, though, Matt Reeves have gave us a great Batman film. It's not one of the best Batman films ever, but this is still a highly enjoyable film, in my opinion. And that's my review of the film, The Batman. Okay, leave your comments down below in the section and let me know what you think about this film if you have seen it. Alright, this is Slim Guy 172 saying, peace out.